My dad and stepmom found out they have 1 year to force me to split my late mom's money with their kids, so they make my life miserable, and I did this. My mom passed away when I was 15 from cancer. She left me everything in her will, about $180,000 from her life insurance and savings. The money was put in a trust that I'd get full access to when I turned 18. My dad remarried Sharon 6 months after mom died. Sharon had 2 kids from her previous marriage, Kyle, who was 14, and Brittany, who was 12. For the first year, things were okay. Not great, but okay. Then one night when I was 16, I overheard Dad and Sharon talking in their bedroom. I was walking past their door to use the bathroom when I heard Sharon say my name. She was telling Dad about some law she'd read online. Apparently, if a minor doesn't have their own lawyer, a parent can petition the court to redistribute inheritance money to other children in the household for fairness. But there's a time limit. They had to file before I turned 17, which was in exactly 11 months. My stomach dropped. I stood there frozen, listening to them plan how they'd use my mom's money. Sharon wanted to pay off their credit cards. Dad mentioned finally buying that boat he'd always wanted. Kyle needed a new laptop. Brittany wanted braces. They were spending my dead mother's money in their heads like it was already theirs. I recorded the whole conversation on my phone. The next morning, Sharon started being extra nice to me, making my favorite breakfast, asking about school, offering to take me shopping. It felt so fake. Dad started talking about family unity and how we're all in this together now, how mom would want me to share with my new siblings. I played along, smiled and nodded, thanked Sharon for breakfast, but I was planning. First thing I did was look up lawyers. Found one who specialized in trust and estate law, Mrs. Rodriguez. She had great reviews and offered free consultations for minors. I took the bus to her office after school and played her the recording. Mrs. Rodriguez got this look on her face that was half angry, half impressed. She told me that what Sharon read was technically true, but only if the minor doesn't contest it and doesn't have legal representation. Since I was 16, I could hire my own lawyer using money from the trust for legal fees. The court would approve it since I was protecting my own inheritance. She agreed to represent me for $5,000 up front. I signed the papers that same day. The next few months were horrible. Sharon started treating me like their personal maid. Do the dishes, watch Brittany while we go out, clean Kyle's bathroom because he's too busy with homework. Every time I pushed back, she'd guilt trip me about being part of the family. Dad would just sit there saying nothing, letting it happen. They made me babysit every Friday and Saturday night so they could go on dates. Started charging me rent of $200 a month for my own bedroom. Said I needed to learn responsibility. I paid it with money from my part-time job at the library, but I was documenting everything. Every text message, every demand, every time they mentioned the inheritance. 2 weeks before my 17th birthday, they sat me down for a family meeting. Dad slid papers across the table. Said it was just a formality, a fair redistribution agreement that the court recommended. Sharon smiled and said it was the right thing to do, that mom would be proud of me for thinking of my siblings. I picked up the papers, pretended to read them, then looked Dad straight in the eye. I already have a lawyer. Her name is Mrs. Rodriguez. She's been representing me for 6 months, and she's filing a harassment claim against both of you tomorrow. The room went dead silent. Sharon's face turned bright red. Dad started stammering, asking what I was talking about. I pulled out my phone and played the recording of them planning to take my money. Then I showed them the folder I'd been building. Screenshots of every text demanding I babysit or pay rent. Photos of the chore lists Sharon made specifically for me while Kyle and Brittany did nothing. Recordings of Sharon saying mom would want me to share. Mrs. Rodriguez told me everything they'd done could be considered coercion and financial exploitation of a minor. The harassment claim would go on their record. Dad could lose custody of me. Sharon could face legal trouble for attempting to manipulate a minor's inheritance. The next morning, Mrs. Rodriguez sent them an official cease and desist letter. All requests for my money stopped immediately. The rent charges stopped. The excessive chores stopped. They barely talked to me after that, which was honestly perfect. On my 18th birthday, I got full access to my trust. All $180,000 plus 3 years of interest. I moved out that same week into an apartment near my college. Used mom's money exactly how she intended, for my education and my future. Dad called a few months later, trying to apologize. Said Sharon had pressured him, and he wasn't thinking straight. I told him mom deserved better than what he did to her memory. Haven't spoken to him since.